All right. Somebody said they wanted a tutorial on poses. This person was K Animus, and I told you I was going to do it. I got you immediately. And after this one, I'm going to do a tutorial on lightning again. Now, for poses. When you say poses, you mentioned realistic and poses inside the same sentence when addressing my animation. Now, when you do that, I assume that you want realistic looking poses that would be integrated into stick notes. So, you know, like boxing, for instance, there's a boxing pose, a specific pose for boxing, just like there's a specific pose for taekwondo. And when I hear realistic, I imagine you go off of those two, or at least those type of poses, and you put them into stick notes and try to replicate them. That's not hard, all right. It's not very hard to find a pose you want and then put it into stick notes because it's basically one frame of making a picture or replicating a picture but with lines. It's like drawing a stick man in a boxing pose. It's not hard. The hard part comes when you're trying to animate that said pose. Now, I'm talking about human poses because that's what I usually make. I usually make a lot of human animations, a lot of. Oh, sorry, that's my cat's bell. I usually make a lot of animations revolving around human fighting. There's no animals, no dogs, no cats. There's foxtails, but not foxes. But let's say, for instance, I was going to make a spider and put that into the animation. Well, if that's the case, then that means I would have to make a spider-like body for something, which isn't exactly hard. It's just the movement that will be hard. We all know spiders have 6 legs to 8 legs on each side of its body. So it would make 6 legs. Let's pretend these are legs for a second. This is the body, and this will be the head. We'll make that smaller. Boom, we have a spider now. Now, it wasn't so hard to make it look like a spider. And technically this is a pose of a spider because it's in the position of a spider moving realistically. And that's not hard. Making it's not hard. It's getting it to properly move and function that makes it difficult. Now, what I suggest for that is to look at videos of what you want to make. Look at the original movement. For instance, if you want to make a spider, look at spider videos or spiders running or something. Unless you're arachnophobe, then I suggest you don't. But yeah, you generally want to look at something that you want to make in a realistic way in your animation and study it. You can't just grab something and expect it to work. Now, what now? I'm pretty sure there's that one person who begs the question, what happens if the object I want to make doesn't exist or the creature I want to make doesn't exist and there are no videos to study? Well, there are usually if it's not real, there's most likely an animation on it itself or some form of like there's going to be something on it. There has to be something. But let's say there's not, then you're going to have to get real creative here. And that's what I did for most of my I want to say special looking stick notes. Now, right here, we have my original stick figure. We have the body, we have the head. This is my original stick figure in its original pose. This is its standing neutral pose. This is its idle pose. If it's going to stand still, it's going to stand in this pose. If I want to make it fight, I of course spread the legs. I do this, and I make it do a boxing pose with a hunched back, because that's how I do boxing. I do a hunched back boxing pose. Boom, simple boxing pose, easy. Oh, except my arms would be more up like this. Now, let's go to this giant thing right here. Now, it's not put together, but if those who've seen the previous mech animation have already put it together, this is the layout for a simple mech. Now, you're probably like, well, how do you do that? How do you put that together? Well, last time I checked when I did this, these were upside down. I simply joined all these stick figures together like this. Yeah, it's a little different from what I did last time, actually. Sorry, I'm being a perfectionist, but that's just how I am when it comes to animations. Forget it, whatever. I'm just gonna leave it like this. This is the simple layout for a mech. All right. Now, when I originally made the mech, I had no idea what in the world I was doing, which is why I called it a mech test to test making a mech. and it came out extremely well. In fact, it came out better than what I was even hoping for, than I was ever hoping for. Now, I didn't look at any videos because it's basically a human with a larger frame and a little bit heavier movement. Basically, I made it incorrect and it's supposed to be extremely slow. But I didn't do that. I just made it have the same type of weight features of a regular person as far as stick notes go, or this specific stick figure. So the mech part, I basically just didn't have a real video to go off of, so I just kind of made it from scratch and animated it from what I previously did, which didn't give me the result I exactly wanted, but still gave a good result. Now, now if I was to go off of any more things for poses, it would have to be just find what you want to make, see if there's a realistic video on it or a video on it at all, because there are some creatures that exist in the realm of fantasy that doesn't exist in real life, but technically they still have movement assigned to them. And if you can't find any of those, then you want to go for you're gonna have to be very creative. That's all I can say. You're gonna have to be extremely creative on how things move. Now, what's a good example of being creative when something doesn't exist but you made it up? Well, let's go with what are those things called? The half human, half snake hybrid things. I forgot their names. Honestly, I think it was a Lamia or whatever. I forgot honestly, but let's say you're making a half human, half snake hybrid. Okay, the body is a human body. It's a human upper body with a snake lower body. Well, you'll have to integrate snake movement with human movement. That's all I gotta say. You would have to integrate human movement and snake movement together and make them work in harmony. Because technically that's not a creature that exists, but the pieces of it exist. Since they come from separate animals. Now, let's say you're making a slime. Well, it's a slime. It doesn't have a set shape. So technically you can make it do whatever, whenever, however. It doesn't have bones. It doesn't have a structure. You know? But yeah, that's all I gotta say for poses. For poses, you basically want to figure out what you want to make, study it. If it doesn't exist, then be very creative and either figure out something that's similar to the item that you want to make or the creature you want to make, and then study that and then integrate it into what you're making. All right? And the more complicated you make the creature, the more you mix it with stuff, the more complicated this entire base of making poses will get. All right? So, yeah. I hope that helps.